Hello guys and welcome to the MSC Performance podcast. Today myself and Mark, we're going to talk about identifying weaknesses, about how you can adjust your training accordingly, and a little bit about the goings on of MSC. But before we dive into that, Mark, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Luke. I'm well. I'm buzzing off the back of a successful combine at the weekend and obviously a good Halloween social.
Yeah,
good fun, good day with the competition. Obviously a good night out as well. So we go again, as they say.
Everyone was very impressed with our makeup.
Yeah,
which we took no credit for. We were very vocal about Veronica helping us out. It looked really cool, man. It was a good time, eh?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I don't know if I'm speaking for just myself, but getting a bit older now, you're sort of doing the fancy dress, and I was actually like, if we're going to do it, actually want to like make it look decent, put a bit of effort in. So, the outfits are pretty cheap off Amazon or whatever, but yeah, like Veronica done us a solid there with the makeup and. I don't know. Like a lot of times over the years, I've just thrown on anything, and it was quite cool to go a little bit above and beyond. Yeah. And I think, like, because we were all in obviously the same theme with the Batman villains, like it was pretty cool. And I think,
the problem is now is we've set the standard, and every year we're going to have to come up with a theme because people like it. They find it funny when they do the theme. You say about it being cheap, man. My outfit was cheap, but then I watched the Batman movie the night before and I was like, man, I need to buy a bald cap. And then you buy that, and then you buy the nose, and all of a sudden it's like, man, I've spent nearly £100 on
true,
and I'm never going to wear it again.
I think I bought like the first suit for like £35, and the waistcoat thing had like no sleeves. It was just awful and like so small. So I did end up buying like last minute the shirt, which I suppose was like 16, 17 quid, then the makeup. So it wasn't cheap really when you think about it. And
it's not when you're only going to wear it once, eh?
Exactly.
But that was cool. Everyone else made a good effort as well. The Spice Girls, everyone always goes out on Halloween. It's quite like a little, I don't know, we've made it a thing, I guess, because it always intertwines with Metcon Games or Combine. How did you find the Combine? Like, obviously we normally do the Metcon Games. Did you enjoy it? Do you want to keep it as a staple?
I loved it, Luke, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, like the Metcon Games, everyone knows how big an event that is for us. And over the years, it's become bigger and bigger. We've done 10 of those now. And with us, we normally do them on, obviously, Easter and Halloween. But this year, we obviously combined the 10th anniversary with the summer. So it gave us an opportunity to do something a little bit different. And I thought it was class. I thought it was really, really good. I think obviously like a little bit less participation than usual with the Metcon Games, but I think a lot of that is obviously there's a lot of fitness events going on at the moment, and also probably a bit of apprehension with people because it's something new. Most people by now know what the Metcon Games is, they know the difficulty levels, etc. Whereas like this Combine was a little bit different in terms of looking at you as an individual rather than the team aspect that we normally do.
Less places to hide.
Less places to hide.
If you're not good, you could. Or if you feel like you're not good, we always talk about how we scale it, but if you're not good, you can like hide it behind a couple of the bigger guys or kind of not participate in every event. It's tough when you're by yourself.
Exactly.
I do think that. But I really enjoyed it as well. I think it should definitely become a staple. For what we did, for the guys that don't know, we had 8 events, and the idea was to try and mimic, similar to like an NFL or like an NBA combine, which they used to test like where your placing is going to be in the draft, and you're basically trying to perform and show your fitness, show your power, your speed. So we were doing a similar idea. So we had like a couple of events that were exactly the same as the combine, for example, the broad jump and the bench press. But then we also had other events that challenged basically all of the qualities. And off the back of that, we had a scoring system where you got less points the higher the placing came. And I think in the end, like Jack won for the men and Gerdish won for the women. And I think Jack was like top 2 or 3 across the board on everything.
Consistent.
Consistent. There was a couple of guys that were close, like Koza, I think came 3rd. He won quite a lot of the events, but then he came a little bit lower down. Further on in the competition, it just cost him some points. And I thought it was really interesting there. Off the back of that, you can kind of think about like if you was trying to become a well-rounded athlete, like the direction that you could take your training based off your scores.
Yeah, I think the way we did the point system very much suited the all-round athlete, didn't it? Yeah. I think Jack being a high-level field athlete, is testament to the skill set that's required and the conditioning base, the strength base that's needed. With my rugby bias, I'll obviously angle towards that, but like it does show that you need to be big and strong, but you need to be able to get around the pitch for 80 minutes and he showed good qualities and good consistency throughout. And then someone like Kozza, like phenomenal runner and obviously very strong, but struggled with one or two of the comparatively dropped off.
Well,
his drop off was a bit bigger.
Yeah, he's a very high powerlifter and he's a very, very good runner. So there was a bit more. You can tell like what he trained and what people hadn't.
Yeah.
What Jack does Metcon, he does team sports, like you said. He's always doing his Olympic lifting, so he's very strong and he's very
strong
fit.
Across the board. I think it was class, like you say, like that kind of individual element of just putting yourself in that environment where you're testing some maxes, you're pushing your performance to the maximal, whether it's like on the runs or on the deadlifts or whatever it is, like you're going max out. And I think every now and again it's good to throw yourself in that environment and actually see what you're capable of. A lot of people are always surprised. I had one of the guys get back to me this morning and say like he couldn't believe he trap barred 200 kilos, like he was just amazed by that. And it's like a result of like good training, good structure with his barbell club, everything like that, and he's buzzing about that. He's since he started he's lost like 5 pounds of fat and he's deadlifting like more than he ever has before. So it's really good to like just highlight where you're at, and then as we'll go into, like, good to see the areas to work on. Yeah,
man, definitely. I mean, I think testing always helps you kind of rise to another occasion. I think it gives you good direction with the training as well. I think it's a cool thing to do. It's not for everyone. We have some people that say they don't like the testing, but I think either if you're doing it in an event or doing it yourself, the information that you can get from it is really important to help guide the training. I think when you've specifically got something that you want to work towards, you kind of, the more that matters to you, the more you kind of going all in with that. So if you're trying to be the fastest person in the world, you're going to really 100% on your sprint training. If you're trying to be a powerlifter, you're going to try and be the strongest person you can. You're going to do all your strength work. For most people, they're looking to kind of be fitter, stronger, generally feel better, kind of be like good across the board. And I think that was really important to me when I stopped powerlifting. And I think it's like the information you can get from doing that testing can really help set up and like guide the training decisions that you make moving forward. So like, let's say someone, I don't know, did class on a couple of events, did not so good on the others. Like what's kind of some recommendations you would give someone in that situation? Yeah, definitely.
I think like, first of all, if you are stronger in one area than another, that's completely normal. And I think again the benefit of doing something like this is just highlighting areas of weakness. And if you're looking to be a well-rounded athlete, then it's good data to have. And taking that information moving forward, if you are looking to be a more well-rounded athlete, it gives you an opportunity to just maybe have a look at your structure of your training and just balance things out a little bit. So, for example, if you were getting really good scores on the deadlift and the bench press, like the strength numbers were really really high. The broad jump, so the power stuff, and the sprint testing was high, but you were absolutely gassed on the conditioning events, on the aerobic. That might be an opportunity there to just increase the amount of aerobic work you're doing. And if you are like proper gassed on the way around on some of those runs, then that's where you can implement. Again, you don't want to completely change everything that you're doing, but that's where you might say, well, I'm strong enough for where I want to be for now, so let's cut down maybe 10 or 15% on that strength work, still do enough to maintain it and to keep it going, and maybe I can put that 10, 15, 20% into a little bit of zone 2, zone 3 aerobic work, where you can build up that foundation of aerobic capacity and endurance.
I think that's the key, like you said, is sticking to that vertical integration model of strength and conditioning, which we're so vocal about using, where you're training all of the qualities. You don't want to just say, oh, I'm really good at strength and I'm not so good at running, so I'm going to stop doing strength training and I'm going to go all in on the running. Like, you absolutely don't need to do that. But there's only so much that you can recover from, And if you carry on pushing the strength training to like its max efforts, something has to give. So I think, like you said, just taking a little bit away from those strengths. You still want to like keep your strengths, but taking a little bit away from that, and not aiming for maintenance, but just not putting all of your eggs into the strength training and applying a little bit more of that to the conditioning can definitely be of benefit. I think it's like you have a bottleneck when you are looking to be a well-rounded athlete, and the bottleneck in this situation is the cardio, so that needs to be addressed to get everything to be better. And it's interesting that like long term that might actually improve your strength training as well. But after a competition is the perfect time to address those weaknesses.
Well, that's an interesting point where like some people think that if they go in and do the aerobic stuff, it's going to ruin the strength progress. But not only is it not going to with the right programming of making sure you're maintaining the strength work with the appropriate amount of volume and intensity, but as you say, in the long term, it can actually really improve that side of things by building the aerobic base and giving you a better capacity to handle more volume,
100%.
To be able to train for longer, to be able to control a better resting heart rate. All of a sudden, like when we're doing our strength work, then recovery between sets is a little bit better. We can probably handle a little bit more volume across the board, and if we can do those things, then inversely is going to like make us a little bit stronger, which is great. And I was talking to a new member the other day who's training for his first marathon, and he was very wary of he's sort of saying, right, I want to do like loads of conditioning work, but I want to and do some upper body strength work, and he was like, obviously I don't want to do legs because like I'm doing a lot of running, and it's like, okay, like you can completely understand where he's coming from, thinking he's got to keep his legs fresh for the running stuff, but by adding an appropriate amount of volume, it's going to make a massive difference to his running by being stronger, by improving, building tissue tolerance in joints, ligaments, Achilles, etc., to be able to absorb the forces of the running mileage. So doing a bit of strength work is, in that inverse way, going to make you be able to handle more running volume and therefore improve that aerobic capacity. And for sure, like the running's the priority, but we do a little bit of strength work to kind of maintain that.
Yeah, man, definitely. One thing I was going to talk about was like the amount of work actually when we talk about like the vertical integration and like easing back on the strength training, like anecdotally but also in the research, loads of this came out around COVID of like how much volume it takes to maintain the strength, and it's around like 10% of the normal volume to maintain your actual strength levels. So if you're currently doing 10 sets a week of quad work or knee dominant work, and you're trying to look to cut that down, but you want to prioritize a little bit more the running, but you want to make sure that you're staying strong. Like in theory, you could drop it down to like one hard set a week, and that would be enough to maintain the strength. I think that's quite extreme.
Yeah.
But like cutting it down by 50% would mean then that you're able to focus a little bit more on that running, but it would be more than enough to maintain the strength levels. Someone that went from like competitive powerlifting into doing more conditioning work, I think I'm doing 3 sets of front squat and I'm doing 3 sets of back squat a week, so 6 sets, which is a massive reduction from previously. But I'm also doing it ascending style, so I'm only really doing like 1 hard set on each per session, so 2 hard sets of squats a week, probably down from like 8 to 10 hard quad sets a week. And I feel like I'm not at my all-time strength, but I'm relatively strong compared to before, so knocked it down by over 50% and still feeling relatively strong, and then obviously been able to prioritize pushing the conditioning a little bit more. So you definitely can like more than maintain, and I think the key is like the same for the marathon runner, is having these different phases where you're focusing on different things. It doesn't have to be that you're putting strength on the back burner forever. You can just have 2 or 3 months where you're building up that conditioning to a level that you're happy with, and then you can slowly start to drip feed back in a little bit more strength training and kind of balance things out. And it makes sense from an enjoyment perspective as well as periodically to have phases where you're focusing on different qualities at different times and trying to bring everything up to like a point where you're happy with.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you've got a good training age as well, which which we have now.
It's a polite way of saying you're getting old, you're old as fuck.
Yeah, and, you can certainly get away with a lot less volume, and when you do that, it's just making sure the sets are of high quality. Obviously, the 1 or 2 sets you are doing, you're working hard.
But it's the same with the running, isn't it? So like the guys who did really well on the aerobic stuff and struggled on the strength training, like, doing marathon training is incredibly tough, and it's going to take away from pushing that top end strength. But if you cut the running down for your off season, if you haven't got a race coming up, by 50%, built up the strength for a while, and then when your strength is back up to a higher level, you can put the strength onto a little bit more maintenance and then add the conditioning back in. So again, it's periodically choosing when to push these things and when not to. And again, go back to after a competition or after testing, it's kind of more your off season. You probably haven't got another comp coming up. It's a great chance to address those weaknesses before kind of going back to more of your normal kind of levels. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I think the interesting thing is, just identifying like what you want to be working at, and like you say, finding those weaknesses and think, right, I'm going to improve those. And you're right, it doesn't mean you have to change it like that forever. I've got an online client at the moment who's had a career in rugby and like is doing a lot of strength work, and then started building a bit of aerobic work in, and is actually now really enjoying like running. Is only running once a week, but getting to like some pretty good times in like 5 and 10Ks, not looking to compete or anything like that, but actually just considering, do I just doing 3 strength sessions a week. Do I go from that 1 run to 2 runs, and does that
2 and 2?
Do we go 2 strength, 2 and 2 conditioning sessions? And it's like, well, yeah, that could work if you're really keen to get that 50-minute 10k time down to 45 minutes, or the 24 minute 5k to 19-20 minutes. Like, if you want to do that, then yeah, you're probably going to need that second run. He's probably got to a level where, like, doing it once a week over the last 11-12 months has probably gotten to that level where it's like, okay, if you want to push that to the next level, probably going to need to expose yourself to a little bit more volume with the running, and therefore something might have to give with the strength work. But at the same time, you've built enough the foundation over the years where, like, just cutting that volume back, if we go in and even do two sessions a week or 2.5 sessions a week, whatever it is, and do those with very high quality, and say give that a 12-16 week block of running twice a week, probably see a big aerobic difference. And then we could look at almost cutting it back a bit.
Exactly that.
And when you cut back a bit, you're probably working at a slightly higher ability than you were when you were previously doing 1 a week. So and you build your strength back up, and all of a sudden, like, you're fitter. Okay, you might need a bit of exposure to strength work to, like,
realize more gains,
to get back to those, pushing that side of things. But it's not like the biggest adjustment in the world. It's just tweaking. But it all comes back to the vertical integration. As you said, we always recommend training everything all the time, which sounds mad, but it's just prioritizing the components of fitness and what we want to be working on. So if it's marathon and it's loads of running, it's a little bit of strength work and it's a little bit of plyometric work, but you don't want to neglect those things. And then vice versa.
Off-season style, you can swip it.
Correct. So
I really like that idea, and I like it because I have a similar kind of thought process. I'm not willing to drop any more strength, if I'm honest. Like, I'm always going to try and be as strong as I currently am, but I do like the idea of having, like, okay, this is my next goal, and for the guy that you mentioned, I want to get a sub 25k, which is tough, man. And, like, doing that, you need more intensity. But then, like I said, scale something back, attack that goal. When you've hit that goal, what's the next goal? Can I bring something else up? I think that's a really cool idea, and I really like that. So that's definitely something that keep it going, that we can look at. I think it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's the key, isn't it? It's just identifying, say where you're at the moment, what you want to work on, and just adjusting your program like that. But don't throw the baby out the bathwater, as they say. Just train all components of fitness all the time, and just have your priorities in whatever you want to work on. But
definitely don't be scared to come away from those strengths and attack those weaknesses before going back. I think it's cool, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thanks for listening. And if you have any thoughts on the combine or on training, taking things forward, get in touch. And if not, we'll catch you on the next podcast.
Lovely. Thank you, guys. Cheers.